Another important feature of Subversion is the ability to see who changed what file and when, specifically which parts of the file were modified by whom. And of course, if you're working in a team, this is particularly important to understand which parts of the file were modified by which member of the team and at what time, and what impacts that may have had since the last fully tested, committed version of the product. So within Subversion we have the concept of annotation. There are two other names for it, which are blame and praise, according to your view on this. However, from within the GUI here we have the name annotation. So we select the file we want to annotate. Under Subversion we can then say show annotation, and we get a choice. We can select what set of revisions we want to view the differences from. So for example, it could just be from the very latest revision to the previous one, or it may be the complete set of changes since the file was first committed into Subversion. In our particular case there haven't been very many changes or very many revisions, therefore it doesn't particularly matter. The head revision is always the tip, in other words the latest version that was last committed to the system, and that's what we'll compare against. So we'll add annotation here. You'll see that the column has now got a colour on the left hand side. If I move the mouse over it, it tells me that the coloration is revision 2. It tells me who the author was, the date it was committed, and also the commit comment associated with it. On lines 7 and 8, which were the changes I made just a short while ago, if I now move the mouse over there, it tells me that was actually revision 4, also by myself on a different day, different time. And the comment added at that particular point. So it's very easy to navigate through the file and see differences within the system. A small point to note is the usage of the vertical bar over on the right hand side. But when I'm looking at an annotated view, I can also move the mouse over a particular region which is associated with a particular revision, and you'll notice that the vertical bar now colours up all of the source file contents that are associated with that, so you can get a view about effectively the scope of the changes that were applied to that particular revision. And by moving the mouse just up here, you'll see that that has now gone to a very small little area in the vertical bar, which shows me that there are only a couple of lines changed. Should I wish to remove the annotation view, all I have to do is right click in that menu under revisions and hide revision information, and there it is gone. Should I wish to look at the properties associated with a particular file, I can do that by right-clicking, Team, Show Properties. This pulls up one of the additional Subversion-related views, which tells me here that I have some specific Subversion keywords, and this is the last changed date and the last changed revision which I have just added, and there's an automatic property associated with most of these files, which is that it's of type MIME type. It's a text file, and that's done for you automatically. So you can always have a look and see what the values of these particular keywords are, and you can see here that there are 2 keywords defined, and you can even go in by right clicking and edit or remove those keywords should you wish to. So I can click on edit here, and it tells me here that we have these properties added. The Subversion client is very tightly bound within the IDE, to such an extent that should I choose to commit a source file which has generated warnings or errors on the build, then the Subversion client will actually warn me about that at the time of commit, and maybe I want to change my mind about whether I want to commit that file or not. So for example, I can add a variable which will not be used within the system. Build. You'll notice that the file is automatically saved, which of course then automatically tells me that the modification has been done. So effectively my working copy is at a newer revision, in other words it's been modified since it was last committed back to the repository. I now have a warning message, as I expected. Now should I choose to actually do a commit on this file, you'll see here it's showing that it's actually got a warning associated with it, so the icon within the view here tells me that there is a warning associated with it. I can double click on the file and it will even tell me what the change is since the last commit. So it tells me here that the changes that I've added to this variable j. So it's a very simple way to interact with the system and enable you to find out what changes you've made since your last commit and to double check that what you're doing makes the most sense. So I'll cancel that and I'll cancel that, and in this instance what we'll do is a revert again. So I can either use the local menu or I can come up and use the main menu here for this particular file and revert the file back. All the problems have gone away. That concludes the tutorial for Subversion and Subversion integration within the TrueSTUDIO IDE. There is a tutorial which goes into a lot more detail about the usage of Subversion, specifically for the creation of branches and tags, and also the way that merging can be done between branches and the trunk.